Started off pretty crazy out here with the fires and stuff. It was just felt all over the place, and now it's almost midway through June. But yeah, I think it's just been a lot of chaos this year. Not necessarily bad, but finally finding my footing in this year. Really trying to just going super hard with, like, my main job work, but then also still trying to make sure I don't forget, like, my passion outside of work, which is like photography. Um, and yeah, I'm just trying to stay creative every day, and I love my job, but there's also so much outside of it as well. So yeah, but to fully answer the question, I think I'm doing much better than I was. I have a fiance and a 3.5 year old, um, and she's still a stay at home mom, which is a full time job, but you don't get paid for it. So yeah, just we're and we both obviously are trying to team up to figure out a way to, yeah, just bring in more money, and I think that's really been like one of the big main focuses this year. And it's crazy because I've seen a lot of conversations about finances, especially with couples and stuff, and um, it feels like not enough people are talking about it because I guess there's a shame about it or something, and there shouldn't be, because it's like everybody, especially this year, it feels like everybody's going through it, and yeah, more people should be having conversations with each other, because maybe there's a friend that can help, and hey, I got this job for you, I got that, so I feel like I've always worked very hard, but there's a different reason now. I work to support my family, but I'm, like I said, I love what I do, so it's it's not painful every day, like I'm not at a job that I don't like. So it feels good to go to work every day, but it's also, yeah, such a bigger pressure now. Because I want to set her up to be better than what we were growing up. Um, yeah, I just want her to be. I also feel like, I'm not a finance pro, but I would love her to be, 18, 19, 20, whatever, um, just to be financially, I think the word's illiterate, just to really know her stuff, and like, because, who knows what the world will be in 20 years, but I want to be able to leave her with a good, like, starting point. I don't really think I was taught how to handle my money, and I think that's a big thing that you should know. Um, because, growing up, like, in my 20s, I was slowly, like, my career was getting bigger and bigger, and I was making more money as the years went on, and I didn't know how to. I would get a check and I'd spend it, and yeah, my parents would say, hey, you should be saving your money, but there wasn't really like this, I guess, maybe the word is pressure to maybe put half the check away, and then in 5 years you'll have $20,000 in your savings, and like, and whenever I had an emergency, I didn't have that money to, like, an emergency to back up on. So when I say, um, better than me, I just want her to be able to know how to handle her money, especially when she starts working and more money's coming in, because I think it's very important. About after I graduated high school, which was like 2008, um, the blogs started popping up, Not Right, Two Dope Boys, and I wanted my own blog, like I wanted to be like my own Not Right, and I started a blog around like the summer of 2008. Um, it was called The Hottest Ish. It was it was not the best name, but it's still it popped off, which was dope, because I didn't expect that. I kind of just was like, let me see what happens, and I had my close friends who were telling me, like, don't waste your time, blah 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 blah. And at the time, like, I just kind of like let that be. But that actually fueled me to really go hard with it, and I did for like the next 2 years. I was so I went to a community college, and um, it school really wasn't for me. So like I didn't really take it too seriously. So I spent most of my time doing the blog, but then I also had a 9 to 5, just like working for a family, um, my uncle, where it was just like I was on a computer all day, just like typing in numbers and shit. Um, but while I was doing that 9 to 5, like while I was punching in those numbers, I was also blogging because it was just like I wanted to be a website that was active all day, like even not just music. I wanted to also do just like kind of a mini complex in a way. I built an audience. I was getting like I was proud of it, but like 50,000 views a day or something like that. Um, and it was dope because I started from maybe one person seeing the site a month. And I was doing that for 2 years, but in the middle of that, I started going to like industry events. I remember I went to a Fat Joe listening party, and I met Elliot Wilson there, who had just recently started Rap Radar. So I was starting to like slowly network, and I was reserved growing up, and I wasn't really a big you know making connections type of guy. But it just felt like this was an opportunity to start doing that and kind of breaking out of my shell. With my website, I was beating him to a lot of news, but I was just a much smaller scale. But he peeped that, and he saw that I was fast with getting things up. Like just I was a good blogger. So I reached out to him to see if I can get a job with him. It finally worked. It worked out, and I started working for him for maybe 2 years, and that was kind of like my internship in a way. I was working 24/7 for him, but it was like an internship because I was still doing my 9 to 5, but that's where I really got my experience in the industry. My first week I was interviewing Meek Mill about like I'm a boss. Big Sean listenings, Young Jeezy listenings. Just yeah, it opened my eyes to uh, the music industry. Um, and uh, skip a little farther, I got a lot of experience there. That turned into a job at Def Jam when I was 21. My goal was to eventually get to a music label, and yeah, I did it when I was 21, which is it's so crazy to me. I did Def Jam for about 2 years. I got to work with Rick Ross, a little bit of Rihanna, Big Sean, Pusha T, The Dream. A bunch of people, and it was an amazing experience. But it came at a time when Spotify was starting to become a really big thing in the industry, and labels were having a hard time making money, and it started kind of declining around like 2023 and while I was at Def Jam, the amount of people I met was just like a huge list, and one of those people um, was Joe LaPuma from Complex, and sorry, I meant to say 2013, 2014, but he reached out to me. I kind of, in a way, it's not the flex, but I kind of made a name for myself like on the internet, um, and yeah, he reached out to me for a job, and um, it was social at Complex, and I took it immediately. I worked there for like almost 6 years, and it was the best job I've ever had. Like I just learned so much copywriting, like being able to travel, interview artists, interview uh, actresses, actors. Um, I just really like built a name for myself there, and I feel like was there during the peak as well, and I was one of the people like a part of making Complex like what it is today, I feel. Um, and then yeah, just to skip a little farther, came out to LA 5 years ago for a e-commerce startup called Network. Kind of dipped into yeah, e-commerce, and it was a dope place to work, but it just it wasn't for me. I didn't necessarily feel like it was like all my other jobs. And then finally, for the last almost 4 years, I came back to doing strictly social, like in entertainment. Now I'm at Prime Video, and I work on movies and TV, which is a totally different industry, but I love it. I'm a big movie guy, and that's what I get to do. I get to work with a lot of talent. I get to uh, work on film photography. I've brought like my passion for film photography to my main job, and I get to shoot a lot of talent all the time. Yeah, it's great. I'm definitely in a great place right now in life. There was a guy who worked at Def Jam that I had met before I worked there, and I had said, and it sounds like a movie, but I really did say to him, I'm gonna work with you eventually. I know it, like I feel it, I want to, I need it, like I wanna work at this place with you. And yeah, when I got the job at 21, I remember going to his office first thing and being like, yo, I'm here. And at the time, like, yeah, it felt good, but now looking back at it, I really didn't, like, it feels like it still hasn't hit me really, even this, 13, 14 years later. um but yeah, looking back on it, it was crazy because there was a lot of things, like I really did it on my own. Like I really had uh, no support really, to be honest with you, because there was a lot of people who just didn't feel like I was, because social media and just like entertainment, it just wasn't, social media specifically, just it wasn't a thing like it is now. So wanting to like take that route, like social media, blogging, and all that, people didn't really understand it. I don't know. There was just something in me that really believed that it could be something big, and that I could be a part of it. Because there was a lot of people obviously who taught themselves, but yeah, I taught myself basically how to, I don't know, use Twitter, use Instagram, all these social media apps that were all brand new. And I don't know, it just, there was something in me that I felt very strongly that this was like the right path because it was bringing me joy. And maybe now that I'm thinking about it, like maybe I needed some joy in my life at that point, and this was like, it was fueling me, and it also, like I said before, it was a way to prove to the haters, I guess, that this was like my path. This was the right choice for me. There's been bits and pieces of my past that I've dived into, but I really haven't dived into like my like my 20, like 19 to 30, let's say. Um but like looking back right now, I really feel, I mean, I think I had a lot of confidence, but I just, in the moment, I didn't feel it. But there were so many things, when I first started, like Rap Radar and then Def Jam, like all these things, like there was something. Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of determination, a lot of confidence in myself, but I wasn't even thinking like that in the moment. Um, um, but yeah, I mean, if I didn't have those qualities, I feel like I wouldn't have gotten to where I'm at. And it's hard sometimes to feel like I have confidence and like determination, but um, it clearly is there somewhere. So I did not like school. I don't really have too many good memories of school, and um, there are probably some people who, if they see that answer, they're gonna just be kind of confused because I feel like I was always happy with through my childhood and stuff, but it just wasn't. Yeah, school just, I don't have. I maybe have a handful of good memories in school, and it wasn't until I started doing the blogging thing 18, 19 years old, and things started taking off where like I really broke out of my shell, and um I was really like enjoying life. But there was, yeah, from 20 to 30, there was a lot of also, um yeah, I guess the word would be struggle. There was moments in in those years that probably a lot of people don't know about, but there was like a lot of, wouldn't necessarily say rock bottom, but there was definitely a lot of moments that even though I was traveling and working at these amazing places, like there was also other things going on outside, and it was hard to like I there was a lot of moments where there really wasn't a lot of people I can um, kind of go to for support, even, which is crazy to say because I feel like I did have a lot of friends, but there was not a um, like a solid group of friends that I could maybe get deep with and like dive into my problems I'm having, or anything like that. Maybe it was 25, 26. I got a DUI, which is like, nothing to be ashamed about. There's so many people who it happens to. I know a bunch of people who that's happened to, but that was, sat in a cell overnight, 8 to 10 hours or something like that. Um, it, it's still, if I had to do list out top five things, like top five worst things that ever happened to me, that was definitely up there. But it definitely felt in a way close to rock bottom because it was just like that moment kind of altered a bunch of things in my life. I was getting ready to move out of my parents' house because I was at that time I was still living with them. There was just so many things I had on my plan, and it completely altered my life. My mom was there to help me. She was the one who helped me get a lawyer for a discount, like things like that. But I don't think, and this is respectfully, but I really do feel I didn't really have any conversations about how I was feeling after that. There was just the immediate like shame to my parents that this happened because they had a lot of trust in me. I kind of was like the good son. So when that happened, it just kind of, yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And I never, yeah, there was no, my friends obviously were there, but they weren't like, how are you feeling? Like, what do you need? Like, it was nothing like that. It was kind of just, we just moved on. When I met my fiance, we were homies before we started actually dating. That was, when did we start? Like around, say like 27, 28. Um, and it feels like it's crazy to say, but I really didn't start opening up, having those deep conversations till I met her. And then, after we had our daughter, just there was things that I wanted to dive back in, and also like things in our relationship that we wanted to talk about. So many things, and it's been a really interesting journey because there's so much more I have to talk about, have to dive into, and also there are parts of it that have made our relationship stronger as well. Um, but it's also allowed me to open up and cry a little bit, like really appreciate what I have, and um, appreciate what I've been able to accomplish, so many things. It's been like a year and a half, and it still feels like I barely touched the surface, but it's definitely For me, it was a great decision to do it, and it was scary because everybody looks at therapy. It's like therapy's frowned upon in a way. Um, Not sure why, but it's if you tell somebody, at least for me, like when I in my past when I've heard somebody taking therapy, it's like, oh, you probably have you probably have issues, you probably have like it's just frowned upon. But actually committing to it and going through therapy, it's actually one of the best feelings because there's just I would have never talked about a lot of the things that in my past or issues I'm having now, like if I didn't go to therapy. But it's allowed me to now be, sort of, because I'm still a very reserved person, but it's still there are ways it feels easier for me now to have like a deeper conversation with somebody. It's definitely opened something within me, like in my emotions, because I'm not a very emotional person until like these last couple years. I think when she came, um, but it's definitely just tapped something in me that when I think of her, like when I see a video of her, just when I see her talking and like she's like an adult, it's just it definitely you know it brings something out of me that it wouldn't have 10 years ago, you know? Because it feels like another crazy thing to say, but it's like I really, obviously I've cried, but there's never been, it's maybe been because like I got hurt or something like that, like actual, like physically hurt, but um, like I haven't really had a good, actual, real cry until maybe like the last like 2, 3 years. Um, so yeah, it's just opened something in me that what was always there but just couldn't come out. Thinking about my daughter and what 10 years is gonna look like, because it's like I look back at photos of her when she was 6 months, and it's like it's crazy because I don't. It feels like I don't even. That wasn't real. Like it's happened. Everything's happened so fast, and it got me emotional just because like yeah, like my parents would always say, our parents always say, like, um, cherish the good times. Like it goes so fast, and until you have a child, like you don't realize. Yeah, it really is. Like these last almost 4 years have flown by so fast, and we've obviously been able to do so much, but um, yeah, it's really got to live in the moment because it goes by so fast. But yeah, it was a moment of just thinking about her and what we've done for the last couple years and what the future holds. Yeah, just right now it just doesn't feel safe at all for so many people. Um it also especially like I think money wise right now, like I feel like we're feeling it already with everything so expensive, and um I just don't like in 20 years. I mean, even just the world, like global warming and all these things. It's like, how is the world going to be in 20 years? And that's kind of, obviously we'll still be here as well, but it's just scary to think what they're going to take on. Um, like my daughter's generation and what they're going to take on, and um, yeah, it's a weird time right now, and I just I try my best to keep my family safe, but it's just like it's hard. It's just, you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow at this point. It's just it just seems like everything's in shambles. So it's scary. For sure, my family. That keeps me going. Because I just want us to be able to live where we want to live and just eventually be super comfortable, money wise, but also just like where we live and um Obviously I have friends, there's so many people I love, but at the end of the day, it does feel like it's just gonna be, right now it's fiance, daughter, and me. So it does feel like it's just gonna be like that. That's my focus. As long as we're good, everything else will be good. So that just keeps me going to make sure that, my girls are good. I've always just enjoyed taking pictures and documenting. Um, and then I think in my 20s, again, it kind of fizzled away. But then when I started working at Complex, like I would just bring my camera around, and it, w- I should have done it a lot more, especially with all the talent we were working with. But it just felt like I didn't have the resources to go get film developed or, stuff like that. Um, but outside of work, like it just was, I was still taking photos and just figuring out like on my own dime how to get photos developed and stuff like that. And then when I moved out here to LA, um, my fiance bought me a Contax T2, and it just kind of changed the game. Because I was like the best camera I think I've ever had in my hands, and it just fuels something in me to keep going and taking pictures. Doesn't matter where we are, take the camera. It brings something else. It's like an adrenaline, especially when you're taking photos. You see it in your head. You take the photo, you don't know until you get the roll developed. But it's a different type of adrenaline that I love, and yeah, that's definitely something that keeps me going because I love taking pictures. I love documenting, and it's crazy because I don't really love taking pictures of myself, like people taking pictures of me. But no matter where I go, and this is the same with my fiance, like we love documenting and just love having those memories to be able to look back on. And it's crazy because we are always taking pictures and videos, and that allows me to look 3 years ago and see a photo of my daughter at 2 months, like just it's yeah, it's just something ingrained in me that I love to do, and it keeps me going.